Good morning and welcome to East Cobb Homestead. My name is Elise and this is our journey on creating a homestead in the suburbs. Our focus in these episodes are going to be on obviously homesteading things, but also the challenges that a suburban homestead faces. This is basically kind of going to be like an introductory video to us and to what we have to work with and the challenges that we are facing on a daily basis. Now, we are a family of four. It's myself, my husband Blake, and our two children, Jackson and Georgia. And we live in the suburbs of a major city. And we do not have access to the things that your typical homesteaders would have access to. We live in a very suburban area. The interstate is less than a mile away from our house. We have a 3-lane road in the front of our house. But we do have things that we can make a sustainable homestead with here. We sit on a little over 2 acres, which in East Cobb is not very common. We are very blessed with having as much land as we do. My grandfather built our home in 1951 when this area was completely pasture land, woods. The road we live on was a dirt road at that time, and a lot of the land was owned by my grandmother's family. And over that time, over the past 70 years or so, a lot of the land was sold off. He built another home, which is actually just right across the street where my mother lives. And so we ended up with just a little over 2 acres after it was all said and done. And so we decided that we wanted to do something with our land. Now, my husband, Blake, is from a small town in Alabama. And in his previous life, he had a farm. In the scheme of things, it wasn't a huge farm. It was 5 acres. But he had, well over 200, 300 chickens, ducks. He had hogs, he had horses, he had cows. He lived on the lake. He had gardens. He was able to, not necessarily hunt, but he had deer and things that he had to. So a lot of this stuff is not new to him. It's all very new to me. The homesteading stuff is anyway. But what's new to him is doing this on a much smaller scale than he's ever done before. I've grown up in the suburbs, but I was exposed to a lot of, as you could say, country living when I was growing up. My father was from the country, and I spent my summers a lot of times in North Georgia. And so I don't really consider myself a complete total city girl, but I am limited on my knowledge of what the homestead life is like. So over the next year, 2, 3, however long this is all going to take, we are going to hopefully transform our little piece of land in the suburbs to a sustainable homestead. This is something we've been wanting to do for a few years, and we started to do it before the pandemic hit. But then the pandemic hit, and a lot of things were kind of grinded to halt for a few months. And some of the challenges that we have been facing, as I said, some of those challenges are things that we have to deal with on a daily. Being a family of 4 in the suburbs, we have a very active life. Both of us work full time. He is a welder. He works 10 hours days. I work in a doctor's office. Both of our kids go to school full time, so I am not blessed enough to be, a homemaker that gets to stay in the home. We both have to work, and that in itself provides or imposes a huge challenge because our time spent here at home is much more limited. We watch a lot of videos on homesteading, and there's a lot of people that are super blessed to be able to move out to the country and buy large acreages of land and do true homesteading and start to move off the grid. But we at this time are just not blessed to do that. And there, I'm sure, a lot of people who want to do the things that homesteaders do, but aren't fortunate enough to be able to do that at this time. So we really want to focus on the challenges that we face. I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all some of the daily challenges is, our children are active in sports. So, we're at baseball 3-4 days a week, for a couple hours, especially in the evening. So, you go work, you come home, you change baseball, at the fields. I already said, we both work, and that's the biggest challenge. Also, when it comes to supplies, because of the area that we live in, we don't have access to large co-ops or large feed and seed stores. There are a few small ones in this area. The closest Tractor Supply is about 17 miles away, so it's a good hour round trip just to go do that. The Home Depot that's closest to us doesn't even sell riding mowers because of the area we're in. Most people use push mowers because their lawns are so small. And honestly, most people use landscapers to do their lawn maintenance. When we went to Home Depot yesterday, even a Home Depot that's further out, in the more rural areas, had 3 things of chicken wire. And the Tractor Supply that we went to yesterday was completely out of cattle paneling. So being able to access a lot of the supplies that a normal homesteader would be able to access on a more easily basis is a huge thing. So our motto around here is just we are trying to do the best that God with the best we are trying to do the best with what God has given us. And what God has given us is a little over 2 acres in the suburbs. And we are going to try to make that work as much as we can. Another big challenge that we face is means. We are by no means a wealthy family. We have to really weigh out decisions when we go to make a big purchase. Because starting a homestead, you do have to make some purchases. You can find things to do around the house. You can use materials that you have around the house, and that's something we're going to be talking about. But there are some things that you have to go purchase. And we have to really weigh on what's most important, what we want to start now versus what can wait. We have to really watch our budget. Prime example is yesterday we were in Home Depot getting the materials to make our hoop coop, and my son was using the calculator because we knew what we had a budget for, and we didn't need to go over that budget. So that's another thing. And a lot of homesteaders that I see on YouTube have all these great gadgets and these great tools, and or they have neighbors who have these great gadgets and great tools that have no problem letting them borrow them. We don't have that. We don't have a chicken plucker. I want one. We don't have one. And when we get to do meat chickens, those things are going to have to be plucked by hand, which is going to be really time consuming. Or we're going to have to create something from small pieces to make a chicken plucker or something like that. We don't have access to tractors. We don't have access to, big things like that. So if we want to do huge projects, we got to call on friends that live an hour, 2 hours away and really plan out our time. Another huge challenge that we face is that this is our second life. My husband and I, this is our second go around at this thing, and our children go to their other parents' house every other weekend. So we lose a lot of time when it comes to drive time, and time spent with our children, and, our children learning a lot of this stuff. We lose a lot of that kind of time because they have other parents that they need to go see. So there's just a lot of challenges that, our family faces when doing this, but that's not going to stop us. Like my uncle told us yesterday, that as long as Blake and I are a team and we do this together, then nothing can stop us. And both of us are very seriously on board. And this is kind of my husband's dream that I hopped on board with, because I think that we need this. Our kids need this. They're on tablets all the time, as I'm sure a lot of your children are. And with the pandemic happening, a lot of the schools around here aren't starting again this fall. They're going to be virtually schooling, and so they're going to be in front of a tablet or a computer screen again all day. And they just don't have the imagination that, you know, the rest of us had when we were growing up. You go outside and, you know, try to dig a hole in China. Yeah, my kids go outside and they look at me, tell me what to do, mommy. Go play. It's not the same. So a big thing for me is to get the kids involved. They need to learn this stuff. I want them to be able to take care of themselves when they get older. The world is constantly changing, and if something should happen when they're older and I can't be there for them, I need to know that they know what to do to keep themselves alive and safe and fed and okay without mommy and daddy being there to do it all for them. So that being said, that's just a little introductory to our family. I'm going to take y'all around what we're going to use as part of our homestead. We are going to basically just be using a lot of our backyard. Our house sits right in the middle of our acreage, so it's kind of cut in half. Can't do a whole lot of stuff in the front yard because, like I said, it's on a main road. So we're limited to our front yard. So I'm going to show y'all that. And I'll be right back. So this is our homestead. This is the backyard starting from this side. We have neighbors on all three sides of us. We are fenced in. A lot of our property, especially towards the back this way, is very wooded. Our property does go beyond our fence line. That one day we will move back to our actual property line to optimize our space. That's our garden, and we'll talk about that in another video. But as you can see, we do go back a decent ways, and then we come around this way, and we go back a decent ways this way, and it comes out here. Very bright sun. That's the beginning of our chicken coop. And then it goes around our garage and what we call our courtyard. It's our courtyard between our house. And then, of course, we have our back porch that is covered in stuff at the moment. So this is what we have to work with. I'd like to talk a little bit about our chicken coop. When I say that we have to deal with limited means and supplies, this is what I'm talking about. So when we went to go get the building material for our hoop coop yesterday, we were faced with the fact that cattle paneling is not available. Goat paneling is twice as expensive. And what are you going to do? So part of doing some of this is not being afraid to talk to people. And part of not being afraid to talk to people is just saying, hey, do y'all give a discount on any of that bent up, messed up paneling out there? The answer we got, yeah, actually we do. Oh, really? Great. So we were able to get a discount. It's not super damaged, but it's not super straight, but it will work. Another thing we faced is we got our design from a wonderful YouTube channel called Living Traditions, and we watched them and we decided that was the kind of coop we wanted. So we took it all down and we went to go get the materials. Well, our Home Depot didn't have 2x4x8s. They had 2x4x100.4.6, whatever that is. So we had to get 2x3s/8s, which is a little smaller. Not what we wanted, but we got to work with what God gave us, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take y'all out here to our garage, and I will be posting a video. This is our dog Hank. We will be posting a video later on today about the how to do the chicken coop. He's already started, so I'm gonna have to show y'all that in pieces. And we're gonna head on out here to our garage. and show you the beginning of our chicks. So we do have some toys. It's our side-by-side. That is helpful, especially when you're having to haul wood. But our chicks. So here we go. We all awake? We're all awake. We lost 2. That's okay. That happens. But here's a challenge. So, feeder, which needs water that needs to be cleaned out. Store we went to did not have any water feeders. So, what do? We can't afford a 50-gallon or $50 galvanized painted pail water feeder, and we needed a water feeder because we had chicks immediately, and we couldn't wait on the internet to send us something. So I used one of my pie pans and an old plastic pickle jar, and there was our water feeder. Here's also another great little thing. We didn't have anything to hook this thing on, so we hung it from the garage rafters. So it's just all about doing what you can with what you got. And I hope that you follow us, give us a like, and we will see y'all when we're making a chicken coop. Thank you.